Little Red Riding Hood by Stephen Pepe. Super Mario Edition. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who always wore her red cape. Her name was Little Red Riding Hood. She was going to visit her grandmother. While Little Red Riding Hood was picking some flowers for her grandmother, she met the big, bad wolf. "Where are you going, little girl?" he asked. "I'm going to visit my grandma," answered Little Red Riding Hood. When the wolf arrived at Grandma's house, Grandma was already there. She was waiting for Little Red Riding Hood to arrive, but the wolf locked her in the cupboard. When Little Red Riding Hood finally arrived, she saw the wolf in Grandma's bed. He was disguised as Grandma. "Grandma, is that really you?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Of course, Little Red, it's your grandmother," answered the wolf in a sweet voice. "Grandma, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, Little Red," replied the wolf. "Grandma, what big ears you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, Little Red," replied the wolf. "Grandma, what a big nose you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to smell you with, Little Red," replied the wolf. "Grandma, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with, Little Red," replied the wolf in his normal voice. "Yikes, you're not Grandma, you're the big bad wolf," screamed Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf jumped out of Grandma's bed and started to chase Little Red Riding Hood. Just then, a brave woodcutter heard a noise coming from Grandma's house. "That sounds like the wolf," he said. When the woodcutter looked through the window, he saw Little Red Riding Hood being chased by the wolf. When the woodcutter entered Grandma's house, he used his axe to get rid of the wolf. "Go away, you big bad wolf," said the woodcutter. The wolf ran away and never came back. Grandma was finally able to get out of the cupboard. "Grandma," said Little Red Riding Hood happily. "Little Red," replied Grandma. Little Red Riding Hood gave the flowers to her grandmother. "Here you go, Grandma. These flowers are for you," she said. "Oh, thank you, Little Red. You're such a good granddaughter," replied Grandma. And Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother lived happily ever after. The end.